You are now on notice that anything you say can and will be used against you in an TV. When they start talking about things being recorded, that just lets you know that we're gonna have proof of everything that we all said here on today. And so, yeah, so I'd like to just start with a quick roundtable of introductions. At this point, we kind of know each other, but it's always good to kind of set, just quickly name the department, and then we're gonna get into our updates from our last meeting. And I'll just kick it off. Stephanie Young, State Representative. We're in my district right now, House District 16. And I'll go to my left.
Okay, Derek Lentz, Wayne County Traffic Maintenance Engineer.
Andrew Wilcox, Detroit TSC, and projects and contracts.
Okay, I do think so. And Detroit CSC manager.
Hello, everyone. Brian Davis, District 1 Business Liaison, here on behalf of the small business owners on the corridor.
Rita Screws in that Metro Region office.
Dave Walker of Planning and Development Department, City of Detroit.
James Hanning, City of Detroit, Department of Public Works, Deputy Director, Managing our Complete Streets Program.
Dave Blake, I live in Rosedale Park and head of our weekly news class.
My name is Chelsea Salim. I'm the Senior Economic Development Manager here at Grand Mount Rosedale Development.
Hi, everyone. Great to join you. Andrew Kandrivas, I'm Director of Wayne County Department of Public Services.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Scott Kevlon. I am the Deputy Director for the Wayne County Department of Public Services.
Ooh, all right, I love it.
Yes, I'm here my son. I live in Hampton Park and have done for a long time. And I try to make as much good trouble as I possibly can.
That's correct.
I'm Frank Raven, current president of Rosedale Park Improvement Association, and Pam keeps me on track.
Frank and Dodger is.
I'm Kim Guru, Rosedale Park Public Works Committee.
Yeah. I'm also a resident of Rosedale Park. And then we have online, I know what I see, two of my staff people. So that's Kevin Shropshire, scheduler, there he is, scheduler, legislative director. We have Miss Alicia George, Director of Constituent Relations. I see Miss there.
Hi, everybody.
And then we have a couple of others. If you could, I see MDOT on the call. If you all could, there we go. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Matt Galbraith. I'm a transportation planner with MDOT's Metro region. Sorry, I couldn't be there in person today.
Okay.
And I'm Josh Carey, MDOT Metro Region Traffic Safety and Operations Engineer.
Thank you.
I just received a text from Maggie. If she's trying to sign in, says that somebody needs to let her in.
Oh.
I was just talking to Maggie. I'm going to send her the Zoom link. I think she was trying to get on the Google Meet.
Okay.
It's a Zoom, yeah. It was a little confusing.
It has two on there.
Well, it says meet via Google Meet and then there's a Zoom link, so.
Right.
Yeah, she was trying to get in via Google.
Google, okay, sorry. I know state uses Teams. It's kind of a pain. All right.
And behind you, Stephanie, there is, she's not here. Oh, here. Oh. Derek, introduce yourself.
Here pulling out, past president of North Carolina.
Right. All right, still a resident.
Still a resident, concerned resident.
There you go. No problem. All right, so we did our introductions, brief review of purpose of the meeting. I think we all know that. I don't think spend 2 to 5 minutes talking about that. We have been meeting now over a year. Has it been? Feels like at least 2 years, right?
2 years.
Okay, as it relates to the Streetscape project, and we're gonna stop there. Now let's look at follow up from our last meeting. So we all have the agenda for today?
Yes.
All right. Let's just take it away. I want to check with you, Chelsea, because you helped us put the agenda together. I'm gonna turn it over to you and you can lead us.
Okay. So, yeah, I just took some brief notes and I think there was a lot more said, so I tried to capture the most pivotal things. So some takeaways, I just wanted to understand the progress of removable or delineated bike lane poles. We talked about that last time. I believe that was the General Services Department that was gonna look into that. So was there any updates on delineated poles for the median or bike lane?
Yeah, so that would be DPW, city. And we've done a little bit of investigation. I wish I had a little bit more to report in terms of here's what we're going to do, but one of the challenges that we had was just whether if we install those delineator posts, we would have the ability to remove or replace them when we come in through street sweeping, or whether we needed different equipment, like a smaller sweeper, basically, to get in that space. So we're in the process of actually procuring a new sweeper and plow that would be able to get in that smaller space. I think it'll have a 4.5 foot like width, so that eventually we won't need to worry, I guess, about whether we'd have to come in and remove them or not. So we're still having the internal discussions of whether in the interim before we get that, we could still have kind of the personnel available to remove and replace them, and we haven't made that determination yet. But I think it's hopefully forward progress that we're moving toward a position where we can very much more confidently install those. And then I think it's just gonna be a matter of identifying the layout. So is it at the beginning and end of each block, or is it, between driveways? But I think then we'll just need really to have a design consultant put that to plans, and then we can implement that pretty quickly, I think. So
Your best guess as to the timeline of.
yeah, I'll have to bring that back to the full team just to know what our capacity is for the summer, but I think by the end of summer, we could pretty confidently have some solution in place, I guess.
My first meeting, can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
When you reference the delineated poles, is that to offset the bike path from other traffic, or is that within the bike path to delineate lanes within the path?
Yeah, so it's within the bike lane as it is. So it's currently marked, but we have a lot of non-compliance with people driving or parking in the cycle track.
Got it.
So to have the basically a post in the middle of the bike, I would really discourage that. And I guess obviously we still would need to clarify whether MDOT would be okay with that, but I think if we're maintaining it, it seems like it would be within our maintenance responsibilities.
In terms of the installation, would that be by MDOT?
Nope, it would probably be by us, city forces.
In that, anybody concerned about that, in that?
If anything, it will be a maintenance related issue, which is really falls on the city. I can't think of anything that a lot of trauma maintenance was the main reason for them to be concerned about it. The ones taking care of it. Do you have any objection?
I don't see anything that,
Yeah.
I mean, is in there, in the city's purview relative to how they conduct maintenance.
Okay.
I guess if anyone's concerned, we're also going through like a pilot right now to select kind of our go-to bike lane delineators. Right now, we see the white and green posts, but we're doing a pilot right now to just see if we do a different color combination, a different model. So, if we had that decision made by that time that we would be looking to install, then we can kind of just incorporate whatever our new standard might be.
So it can't be run over.
Yeah.
Well, it still needs to be run over, but
It's designed to be.
but hopefully a little more visible so people will think twice, I guess.
Yeah, so are you familiar with the ones that they use on McNichols in Mary Grove?
Yes, very.
They're much shorter and they're like little fat green.
Yep.
Round. With those.
So we feel that those aren't performing particularly well because when they get hit, they don't kind of come back to be vertical. So they don't look so great. But they do look more substantial. But we find that they only take about 4 or 5 hits before they're really not performing very well. But we're in the spirit of having something that's more like that is kind of what we're trying to achieve with that pilot. So we're looking at something that's like that, maybe even green, so that it stands out a little bit more. And is a little bit wider, but maybe performs better and takes more hits. So
Where's the pilot launcher?
I was gonna say, yeah, well, go ahead.
it'll be on CAS, which already has the protected bike lane. So we're just gonna take a few blocks of CAS and try a few different models out. We're still going through the procurement process of that right now, so we can share the limits of that when it's up and ready. Definitely would appreciate the feedback too if you want to go out and check it out when it's underway.
So how long has the one there on West McNichols been in place? And because we know that the ultimate goal is to deter people from going, but and I understand once it gets hit. Are we finding that, is there anything that's gonna deter people from?
Right.
I mean, I'm just curious, right? It's like, well, it keeps getting hit, keeps getting hit. I'm like, okay, is there ever a point where it stops getting hit because people finally figured out you're not supposed to be there? How long does it take to figure that out?
Yeah, so I think a really unfortunate part of this is that we're not really actively evaluating that. Like, we haven't been collecting data to know, the rates of things being hit. And frankly, I think a lot of it is unfortunate. They are designed to be hit. So, I mean, that we're replacing them. There's a certain understanding of the maintenance required. But I think anecdotally, we know that behaviors over time typically do change, and you see a reduction of the hits happening as maybe frequently as they did initially. But frankly, I just wish we collected that data better. So I hope future we'll be able to do that more consistently.
So how many, you say the green ones get hit 5 or 6 times and then they're destroyed. How many times do these get hit or they're?
Oh, good question. And it depends on the type of plastic that's used in the particular model, which is kind of an interesting thing that we learned. I think these ones that are installed are somewhere around 70 to 80 before they start to show signs of like failure, which means they'll like bend and not like bounce back.
Because these are so far apart compared to these little short green ones. The little short green ones are much closer together. And they appear visually at least to be much more substantial. I would be much more careful to not run into them, even if they're not more substantial. They sure look more substantial. So, okay.
But I think hopefully you're encouraged to know that we're looking at this, and we'll definitely apply that to, what's proposed for Grand River.
Should we talk about the other bike lane issue, which is farther down the agenda?
Let's have them together, yeah.
We're jumping to which one?
Okay, you know, two-way versus one-way issue. Since we're, our hands are right in the bike lane.
For sake of time, we've got 8 to 10 minutes on about 6 to 7 items, so.
Can I just make a request? I'm sorry, and I'm new to this, and thank you, Rep, for bringing us. I know that our scope as Wayne County, I think you guys are surprised to see us, because our scope is pretty limited on this. I know that, Lasser, the intersection at Lasser is of particular importance to all of you. I spoke with, Council President Pro Tem Tate about this, and, so that's really, it was on my radar before, but that kind of, I was thinking about it, so I wanted to be out here today. I visited the spot before. I know the intersection from years before, and visited it once I'm back, I done with the work. So if I can just request, because I don't know, you guys probably have a lot of issues to discover. I don't know if I can stay for all those, but I definitely don't want to miss a Lasser discussion. I don't know if it's okay. We talked about that a little bit earlier. I don't want to lose Mr. Lentz specifically. He is our engineering guru. Scott and I aren't worth much without the engineer here, I'll tell you that, so.
Well, there's a hand up. What's that hand up? So. I mean, I'm fine with that, because I get it. I have Alicia George, who is, Alicia Mercy, her? She has Motor City Job House on Lasser, Grand River, Motor City Bike Busters, all of them are right there. So that's a real huge concern. That's for all of us, because we say Grand River, right? And of course, we're there at Lasser. But most certainly, they're the ones impacted like on a daily basis. And so with that, where is that on here? Isn't it on here? It is on here. Where is it?
B.
I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yes, yeah. Okay, we're almost there. We're almost there. Can you hold tight? You got 10 minutes?
I can definitely hold tight. I just didn't know if bike lanes were gonna take an hour and a half. That's
Well,
all.
it sounds like
there's a lot of issues about bike lanes.
But, okay, very good. Thank you for giving us a moment, and hopefully
No
we're
problem.
still there. Get ready.
Enjoy.
Good to see you. All right, so let's finish this up real quick. We're gonna jump down to E though, up there on the bike lanes being configured as two-way. That shouldn't take that long.
Yeah, so that was MDOT and I think maybe traffic and engineering. We needed to get confirmation if the bike lanes needed to be two-way or one-way. I think there was some stipulations on whether or not they could be two-way.
So I guess maybe I have a clarifying question if I could, because right now, I mean, they would be two-way in either case, but do we mean whether
On the
it's a
same
two-way
side.
cycle track on
Yeah.
one side versus one lane in each, or one way in each direction? Okay.
I'm gonna, somebody's hand is up, I wanted to talk to my traffic, safety folks. Probably Josh. Josh, is this something you could help me with in terms of, having a complete street? I mean, I think we have two cycle track here, and they're trying, having both of them on one side.
Yeah. I guess that did come up during design of this project. And with trying to keep parking on both sides, this was the only cross section that fit within the existing curb to curb measurement. The bike lanes being on both sides would require two buffer areas. And so you would end up with, I guess, more quote unquote wasted space in this area as opposed to the two-way cycle track. So the two-way cycle track was kind of the balance of trying to fill everybody's needs, I guess you would say, you know, parking on both sides of the road, bike facilities, still maintaining a decent level of service of the roadway, and making all those facilities safe for all the users.
Okay, now, let's, yeah.
So here is, I'm not exactly sure what our agenda says, but here was the issue that came up at the last conversation. People pointed out that the inbound lane in the cycle track may indeed be technically illegal because you can't go against traffic. The law says if you're riding your bike, you're supposed to go with traffic, not against traffic. So it creates an unsafe condition if you were to ride your bike inbound in the cycle.
No, not in a protected.
When you approach an intersection, the people who are in cars and looking to make a right turn are not expecting a bicycle to show up. So it's a very unsafe condition to have this two-way cycle track.
So I guess I'll chime in that I think we're pretty certain. I think we maybe need to do just one more due diligence check to make sure that there's not some obscure on the law or on the books or something that we've missed. But I think we're pretty confident it's not illegal. The visibility issues and the challenge of having a flow movement that people aren't anticipating, I think that's a legitimate issue, obviously. And there are probably things that we maybe want to put our heads back together to see if there are ways we can improve that visibility of making sure that drivers are looking and people biking are looking as well to where those movements might be least being expected. But I think part of it has to do with when you have a contraflow movement of some sort where it's not going with traffic, the way that you line the marking or paint the color, I think even that it's yellow establishes that you get.
I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, what am I doing?
Chat, it's the chat.
Messaging us.
Okay. But I think it came up in terms of enforcement. If I remember, DPD mentioned that they could ticket people.
Okay, so read it to us, because
Hi, I think I can offer. It was a police officer who brought this up, brought this concern up at the last meeting. Based on their understanding of motor vehicle code, I wasn't able to resolve this, if it was the case or not. That's what it was, because we were talking about something and then Sergeant Johns was like, I think that's illegal. So due diligence, I put it on the agenda.
But I'm pretty certain we wouldn't have been able to move forward with a design that was, not supported by highway standards.
well, once Sergeant Johns brought it up, it does seem just incredibly dangerous. When you think of it, it seems like an accident waiting to happen.
So I guess my thing is, and whose hand is up, John?
Can they hear us? Yeah, so whose iPhone, please unmute yourself and introduce yourself and ask your question. If over your hand. This is a communal meeting. Everyone can hear everyone, so. Going once, going twice.
Oh, well,
All right, we'll circle back. Same thing.
And I guess maybe if I could add one other thing. Oh,
Can I say something?
yeah.
Yeah, when this came up, I called the League of Michigan Bicyclists and they told me that this is common. They just put, I think he said Kalamazoo, they just put the same exact lane in there. So it's really common across the state.
Across the nation.
right.
But there are issues, so I think that's the important thing, is if there are especially immediate locations and places that you think we need to put some attention to, let's do that, let's target those. But I think the other thing is if there's a preference to, look to the future to have more discussions about reconfiguring and maybe putting up, separating and moving the bike lanes to either side, I think we're gonna have to be mindful of our ability to do that with the way that the islands and everything are configured now. So I think we'll just have to be mindful of, like, I don't think it's as easy as just switching things right now. So there might have to be sort of a phasing or a future, transition to get to that point, because we probably prevented our ability to do that more when we put that concrete in there.
I'm gonna make a note of potential recommendations for increased visibility for cyclists. Is that appropriate?
Yeah.
Especially at the intersections.
Yeah. I think signaling and signing and, potentially parking restrictions if there are vehicles that are blocking view might be within that, realm of taking a look at.
So that's still on the bike lanes here on the V. Let's just talk about that Lost Grand River area. It's still Lost Grand. I'm sorry, you know that, I was like, Kevin, it's still Lost Grand. The bike lane to make the right turns off of, it's real tricky. Everything out of that intersection is really. It's very tricky, and I have been there at the light where people go into the parking lane, bike lane to avoid stopping at the light to make the right turn. They go around everything and just go there and turn right. And I'm like, okay, I don't even, know how we prevent that kind of stuff, because you have to have space to park and to be able to get in and out of your car. Yes.
Today,
Okay, what happened?
you got orange cones all the way around. It's worse today.
Oh, I had to get home.
Yeah, there's some kind of work.
You doing some work?
No, I don't know.
Sidewalk.
Yeah, we're calling it a streetscape project. It was actually in partnership with the county, through some of the old SNF, old Redford funding. So we're expanding that triangle between Redford and Losser, into kind of like a public plaza, and then there's a little bit of traffic calming and some sidewalk repair. So it'll be done within 60 days, I think, so.
But to this issue about the right turns off of, did anybody look into?
I think it's become a bigger than just that movement.
Okay.
In terms of the conversation, I don't know.
I think the conversation, it goes along with the left turn movement, which I think all of us we're going to spend the bulk of the time just talking about. But what is going to entail in this particular case is actually restricting the bike movement as well, which goes along with what we were talking about. Can we put balance or something in the bike lane to prevent this from happening? And I think it goes along with the first conversation that we had. That's right. So I think as we resolve that will actually be put into this.
I'm just gonna, lastly, there might be a bike lane at that intersection issue. What was brought to me was the concerns of like the singular lane moving southwards on Losser.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, is that separate? I don't know.
No, it's a separate issue.
It's not on the agenda, so we might as well.
It's a conversation that has multiple heads.
Yes.
Well, Chelsea stopped me, but I mean, I didn't see that as a separate item, so I'm guessing maybe this is just meant to.
Let's send this. So yeah, let's add it. And so we're worried about southbound traffic going.
Going west.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the turning signal has come up over and over again on the corner of Grand River and Losser.
Right.
It's
It's
a
too
flashing
slow.
turning
Oh.
signal. There is none.
There's only one lane.
One lane.
That's why.
There's only one.
There's
Oh,
only
lots
one
of-
lane
yeah.
going southbound.
Almost.
Yeah,
But somebody had brought up the concept that on the corner, could there be a point in time where there's a little flashing turn left arrow, flashes for 2 minutes, people going south on Losser, 2 minutes to turn left, nobody else is driving, turn left, and then that little arrow stops flashing, and then all the people on Losser just go south. But they get a 2-minute window
Is that add
to
a
turn
lane?
left.
Do you add a lane for that?
No.
So if you happen to be first in line, then you don't want to, you're not first in line.
Right, and you're right, because if you don't want to turn.
So I'm slowing down, make y'all stop behind me at a green, so sometimes it's like.
So, and I don't know the intersection well enough engineering wise, is there space? And, cause I know, so there's no space, cause I could have sworn that if somebody is going straight south on Losser, I have the ability to go around them and turn right and go north.
That's the problem, it's a bump out that was created.
So I think we just kick off the conversation right.
So, I don't mean to throw something.
Wait, let's get, Alicia, would you unmute yourself? And it looks like you have something to say about this, and your business is right there.
Yeah. Yes, thank you. Good afternoon. So most of the things
We can barely hear you. We're kind of losing
but I
you.
just wanna.
Yes, we hear.
Oh, okay.
That's
Can
better.
you hear me? What about now?
Yes.
That's better?
That's good.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, great. So, a couple of the things have already been stated. And I up a couple more things and just piggyback. So definitely at the corner of Grand River and Lasher, making a left, heading east on
She's gone.
But she was gonna say east on Grand River.
Yeah. Can we get her back?
Sure. I can solve the questions. You make that intersection this during the line.
Yeah. The workarounds might end up being worse. So it's good on this side.
So what options do we have? Okay.
I want to say, we can't hear you. You want to just, here, we can hear you this way. Try it from here. Okay. Yes. Okay. East.
That it is a big issue. We've had at least 3 to 4 major accidents. We need something there. Something immediately. People are crashing up and down, moving the orbits, they're in this corridor. The other thing is that the construction that's going on right now for our 2019 streetscape over here. And the construction started on Monday, Tuesday of this week, so April 15th, April 16th. No one notified us. No one said when they were coming, when they were starting. We just showed up on our business yesterday. All of the district. Basically, we were all out of operation because we did not know. You're just tell people to. So, who was in charge? What are the phases? Have we not taken it? This is absolutely a project that we said over the phone. I think it says 2019 and April, such a not notified. Well, John, certain lines I have been getting hit by all of the businesses. Well, what do we do? And so we have to communicate. So I need to know it's gonna be that Thursday. We're in Halifax. We're in our district. so that we can understand what's going on, what's the timeline, is it 60 days, is it 60 to 75, or weather permit, and what are the things? Thank you so much. I digress.
Now, are you still the president of the business association?
Yes, I'm the president of the Owner Business Association. Yes.
I can take that on. So I don't know if she can hear me. Hopefully she can. So hi, Ms.
Can you
Alicia.
hear Alicia? Can you hear him? Go ahead and talk.
Yeah, I can hear.
Okay.
Thanks, Ms. Alicia. This is James Hanig with DPW. Unfortunately, we've been having a lot of back and forth with when we knew we'd be able to start the work or not. There were some procurement issues of some of like the major like traffic. I can't remember. It was some of the light poles were on back order, so we didn't know when the contractor was going to be able to start. We were coordinating the permit with the county that we were going back and forth a few times, and sorry, I'm trying to remember. There was one other component. Oh, there was a hydrant that needed to be relocated that we were coordinating a permit on. So it was hung up for a long time. We were originally going to start the project last fall and provide, a lot of, leadway and heads up. But the contract had already been awarded. We were just waiting on those items. And we were surprised too to find out that they started this week. Because all of a sudden somebody in our city engineering division decided to give them the green light, and then the contractor just started mobilizing. And so we're playing catch up too, unfortunately. But I know my team has been reaching out to you, and we're looking to coordinate a stakeholder meeting to give you more details on the timing, what the phasing looks like. So I think we're actively coordinating. If you haven't been reached out to already, I know it's coming today then, in terms of just the next steps and providing some more information on the timing. So I apologize. I was very annoyed and shocked that had happened as well.
And this has nothing to do with you, county people.
I guess I only bring.
Okay, I'm just trying to.
I'm not looking to throw anything. It's our roads are permanent.
Right.
Because generally in these, control the contract and the contractor, it sounds like a contractor issue.
Yeah.
We don't necessarily take that one, so.
So, James?
Yeah.
You will be contacting Miss Alicia directly?
Our Streetscape program manager, Jay Burnett. I think
Jay
he's.
Burnett, oh yeah, we know Jay.
Okay.
Did you hear that, Alicia?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I thought I was copied on something, but I'll double check. Maybe I need to verify your email address then too, because I think we maybe had a couple.
And then. He said he's gonna verify your email address.
I thought we reached out Thursday, but. Okay.
And I'll double check with Jay as well, planning department will, and we'll just make sure that Brian is involved with conversations as well with the business owners.
I mean, yeah, these are small businesses.
Right.
I know, did you have Councilman Tate's meeting there today? Was that today?
Yeah, so today is also a change that was merged with their Kavanaugh, this district. Chaco right now, I want this still averaging and servicing people, but the parking that's been over here, it is, speechless, because we put out a text on community. Already we have choices, virtual, I just kind of the same time.
No, we understand. Okay, well, the city is on notice, so they will be contacting you. Before we leave this meeting, I'm gonna give them all of your contact information myself. And then we're certain that everything is correct and we'll be able to move forward that way. Okay, all right then, ma'am.
Okay, thank you so much.
You good? Okay, thank you. Bye-bye. All right. So, I don't know, I need to circle back to. Was there any resolution? Can you keep saying this just to start a conversation because we really don't know what to do, which is what we said at the last meeting because it's so complex.
I think the conversation as we started it, I heard Ms. Alicia quite well. in terms of something needs to be done in the immediate, and I think we've proposed that. We understand, okay, people restrict the movement, and I think I overheard you talking on the other side there. Restrict the movement of turning left into Grand River and move people down to Nichols to be able to turn back around if that's the case. In the immediate, if we're talking about 3 to 4 accidents a week,
Yeah, that's just.
I think at least we should at least do that. That is not proposed by. Now, if we want to talk about the bigger picture, can we remove the bump out or whatever other proposals make to be able to move everybody through that intersection? That's a larger conversation that will be, we include infrastructure upgrades and so on and so forth. There will be time for that. But if we have an accident or major accident that's out there, and I don't know if our traffic folks want to chime into this conversation, but I understand that there's we proposed the restriction of the movement, so no turn on Lasser and Grand River, no left turn, so that intersection at least can move through, and then we can continue conversation. Because what we really do believe that we've seen an increase in the usage of Lasser to move south because of the construction that is going on Telegraph and also on 8 as well. By the time those funds wrap up, by the end of the season, hopefully that will ease a little bit. That's my thought process.
It's a deja vu because my engineers are telling me about this in other areas, and they're like, well, look, let's let these projects, cool down, wrap up, and we'll have a better understanding of the actual flow of traffic. It's hard to do that when you're restricting other areas. But of course, the community demand and the accidents and all that, it's pressing. So I feel stupid. I didn't really look at McNichols was that close. And it sounds like a solution, at least temporarily, to restrict.
Temporarily, I know somebody, I'm gonna put it on the tape. Somebody told me that, well, you're gonna pass 2 or 3 businesses before. I said, well, pass 2, 3 of businesses to save somebody's life. I think something big. It's not that if we pass them, we can turn around. I mean, I made the movement today. I took some pictures, drive down, come around, and come back. Just,
Could you explain what, so you're going down?
I'm coming south,
And then you go to McNichols, how far do you drive?
2 blocks, 1 block.
1 block, and then you take a left. On
and swing back.
You have to.
No, hold on, guys.
You're trying to get back to Grand River.
Yes, I'm trying to get back to Grand River. I get explanation to me. I give it to you on the only that I'm not. Can you pull it?
We can pull that up.
Okay. It's right in front of me right here.
And then you have something back there too.
We just have the GRDC map.
Listen, we got the police. We look at it from emergency response.
Okay, that's the other thing that we have to.
Grand River and Lasher is a major intersection. If you cut out left turns, then you're gonna have cars going into the community to navigate through. Even going up to McNichols, you would have to make a left, go back around the.
It's like a triangle.
It's a triangle, you have to go back around.
I don't know what that is.
To, like, it would be like a telegraph, you go back around. And then go back up to Lasher to make it right. I don't work in traffic enforcement, we're talking to the guys that do, it's not so much the left turn, it's a lot of people actually running the light.
Yeah.
Disregard for the problem that we're having is the bike lane.
Okay.
There's entirely too wide. There's no reason a car should be able to sit in the bike.
If you want to draw it to the side.
Oh, really? Oh, drop the guy?
Yeah.
Before I drop the guy, let me.
So it's not a,
It's
not a traditional bike lane, it is a cycle track.
Then where curving is allowed, where you're supposed to leave. I don't know if anybody's tried to, I've done it 4 times myself in the fully myself, in full uniform. And almost have wiped out.
This doesn't show all
The door opens.
infrastructure.
Okay.
We had to see this way.
I don't know.
people who has walkers.
Oh, he's moving it.
Trying to get out, to the bank, to get to. You can drive.
Yeah, that's what I'm
doing.
doing.
You're gonna stop in your. But I mean, because they cut your door, I don't know if anybody's ever tried.
It's over there. There we go.
You get out safely, it's very hot. It's very hot, as it relates to the lanes, the other days I had.
It's right, it's right. Oh, it's right.
There's Grand
And fire truck. Both traveling down Grand River.
Well, they can't fit.
There.
The fire truck.
Right here.
Don't keep us.
It's okay.
So literally, I need you to run the light. I mean,
It's a delicate little.
they can't fit. If you get two full size, it should be side by side. One has to, somebody has to say, look, let me try that. Or mirrors are touched. The mirrors will touch, the lanes are entirely too near. Most of the markets, and we have a lot of single vehicle accidents.
Okay.
And when we say single vehicle accidents, it's because they're trying to avoid hitting the vehicle next to them, because it's just not enough.
No,
Yeah, I think so.
do we, are we
See,
ready? We'll pick back up, because everything you said, we've said at the very first. Right?
I mean,
Right,
because
but
even
that's-
before this came out, we didn't think that,
So the
I have an item on there.
different.
Oh.
What are you trying to do?
Is the Zoom?
So you're not in the Zoom app, you're on the desk, you're on the browser, so it's not connected the same.
Can they see us?
You still can see us, we just can't.
They can't see the screen.
Okay, but
So you have to exit out the Zoom
Well,
call.
the people in the room, can you just do so that we can see it?
yeah, let's just,
Yeah,
Yeah.
just do it for the room.
we're good.
Okay, let's go.
No, we're,
So this is
okay,
Losser, this is
okay.
McNichols.
Okay, so this is what we're talking about, coming, wait, grab it here. Okay, coming down, coming south on Lasser, we reach, Grand River. This is where we're talking about in terms of people who wants to make this movement, left movement coming, into Grand River. And that's where we get that back up all the way to Redford. I think it's Redford over there. At least that's what I saw this afternoon. We think, and I think what our traffic folks has proposed is, if we restrict this movement, which is causing the backup, it allows everybody to move all the way south, both the people who intend to move through the intersection anyway, and if the people who wants to move eastbound, they can continue eastbound and join McNichols, or if you want to go westbound, then you can turn around and go the other direction. It moves the movement and it removes the crashes that we've been talking about. While it is temporal, and I think I'm hearing that for emergency purposes, maybe it's not the most ideal thing, but at least it prevents the crashes that we are talking about and increase the movement while we start looking for other options as well.
But if it's an emergency though, if a fire
Well,
engine is.
emergency vehicles would be exempt.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm about to say. If they're flashing their lights, they're not following any of the traffic rules, right? When they got their lights flashing, they're not following.
Yes, some of the accidents are disregarding signals.
So if we're not talking about, I'm just saying, if we were to not talk about moving concrete and adding lanes and things like that. The light phasing, would it be possible, or how does it fit into the Michigan manual to have a left turn and straight green southbound Lasser, holding back the traffic northbound Lasser?
Seen that?
Letting that go through. Well, I mean, we don't do that much in Michigan, I don't know.
Okay,
It's that Grand River and People, I mean, Finkel and Greenfield, where only one side, you can, like, you know what I'm talking about there, everybody can turn, everybody goes straight and everybody can turn.
Insinuating, I'm not judging it at all. It's like, it's a good idea or it's a safer alternative.
Wait,
Sure.
explain the idea and how that differs than what I just said 20 minutes ago.
Well, when you said it, you said, you're gonna hold back, I didn't hear you say that you were gonna hold back the other traffic. It sounded like it'd be a blinking.
Northbound traffic.
No. So what I'm suggesting is you're on Lasser here and you're in Grand River. there's a little red light or little flashing little arrow that allows you to take this turn. But you were saying, well, why does that even matter? Because there's one lane here, and this person that's in front of me, there's 20 cars backed up here. This person wants to go straight. This person wants to turn, this person wants to turn, this person wants to turn. So it doesn't really matter that light that gives you a 5-minute left turn.
If you're holding the loss or north.
Yeah, that's the turn I missed from when you were describing.
That's when.
That's how I was.
And I don't know if
Just
it's
the
possible.
other side of the street. Yeah.
But you got a full back that is northbound traffic. So that people could do that and then effectively you'd be restricted from making a left turn after that.
It's,
I don't know if you can do that.
yeah, so let's,
You know what I'm talking about, right there at Finkel and Greenfield.
Yeah.
I think that's the solution.
So Finkel eastbound goes whichever way it's gonna go. And then they get a red light and westbound.
Okay, so if you understand it, do you mind just going up there and showing us how it would work on this intersection here at Grand River and Lost?
Sure.
so, maybe, Frank, I've been seeing your hand go up, and I will please, for our traffic folks to speak here on.
Okay.
So, Grand River's going both directions.
Right.
They get a red light. Southbound gets a green light and a green arrow. They go, these guys are held back.
Right.
They get a red light, then the northbound gets the same thing where they can go any direction.
Okay.
And so they would be the only people moving when they have the signal. These would be the only people moving when they have the signal.
Yeah, so I'm saying, that's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I was.
Yes, there it is.
That's what you were saying.
Okay.
I don't know if it's.
Thanks.
Why is that not possible though?
No, I'm just asking, per traffic regulations, if
Yes,
that's
can we do that?
advisable.
I mean, well,
Okay,
why can't they do it on,
I
don't know.
I'm just asking.
We all asking questions.
So I have MDOT's traffic, region traffic engineers and our in-house TSC traffic engineers on the call. Josh and Maggie, if you can chime into this conversation, I know Maggie has worked extensively on this intersection to the point that maybe I've driven out of the office because of that. Maggie, can you hear?
I think you can tell.
Hey, everybody. It's, forgive me, I couldn't be in the office today. I've actually been in the city most of this week, and so I couldn't make it today, but I'm having a really hard time understanding because there are so many people talking. What are we arguing about? I can tell.
Kay, could you explain what's on the table right now as it relates to the turning signal and the green light going south?
Okay, Maggie, if you can, I mean, I know we've had this conversation before. If you can explain to the group, our interim proposal, our recommended proposal for the intersection as of now, something we can implement right now in terms of the restriction that we talked about, right?
Right.
You and Fazana and the rest of them, and then on the second part, talk about if we want to do any more than that, if we really have to have split phase and all of that, what does that entail?
Okay, so let's start from the top. The most immediate, low cost, like low hanging fruit option is to restrict lefts at the intersection. Southbound Lochner lefts would be restricted with signing. The expectation would be that you would head southbound down to McNichols and then make your left onto Grand River Ave at that point, or, renegotiate wherever you're trying to go. So that's our workaround. It is possible to implement immediately, which is why we thought, and it's also extremely low cost. So that's why we perceived it was the most, get you your most bang for your buck immediately, right? Everybody's upset that there's delay. This is a very immediate solution. Now, the problems with split phasing at this intersection, to fully split phase this intersection, the cabinet would have to be rewired. And it's not even only that the cabinet would have to be rewired. Right now the PEDs run together. So we can't run fully split phased and still have all of the ped mobility. I know this doesn't make a lot of sense without having like intro to signal operations 101, but if you can imagine, right? Pedestrians walk adjacent to you when you are traveling through the intersection, right? So if you implement something like fully split phasing, there would be some ped movements that would never be served, right? Also, because of the two-way cycle track and the fact that there is a bike signal at this intersection, it further inhibits our ability to make adjustments because there are minimums for that bike signal that cannot be violated, right? So we are short on cycle length time. We are limiting ped mobility. It's not a solution, but it requires direct forces to work on rewiring that cabinet and potentially losing some mobility for other road users, right? Like peds. And forgive me because Farzana is on vacation and she's our signals engineer. But my understanding with the bike signal is that there's also the limiting factor. We cannot take any more time from that bike signal because it has minimums, right? Because bikes move slower than vehicles. It has minimums that cannot be violated. And as such, we don't then have enough time to run this cycle split phased. So I know that's a lot to digest and I'll try and field your questions, but does that more or less make sense to everybody?
Hey, Maggie.
I would point one thing out. I think that it was said earlier, but McNichols, there's no left turn at the Grand River at that point, right? So it would be going through that intersection.
The outer drive then, yeah? Is that the next one to the south?
Oh, wait a second.
No,
Wait a second. Is that true?
I
I don't know. There's no
when I
left
drove
turn.
through there, I
There's no left turn here.
I don't believe there's a left.
Eastbound.
Oh, no,
You just
no.
go past
okay.
the intersection and have to flip around.
Yeah, do it.
Right.
Go west on Grand River.
Yeah.
But if someone's
Up
turning,
Grand River.
if someone was trying to turn left onto Grand River, they could go to McNichols and then turn right onto Grand River.
But if you want,
Unless they had to go back.
Well, yeah,
Right.
but they're concerned about those, like the bicycle shop is the one I'm thinking about.
Right.
So we got the GR bicycle shop, it used to be a McDonald's. That is in that strip that people are about to miss.
They have to come back.
Yes, you have to
So-
do that. Or even with that, if you went to McNichols and made a right, there is a Michigan U right there that allows you to make a Michigan U, turn left and then turn right on Grand River. And now you're on that strip where, right, I'm just saying where all the things are.
I will also point out that, so the Redford Street that runs just west of Lasser, right? It's a short little street there.
Yes.
That's gonna be all your left turn traffic is gonna end up going there, right? To make a swing a left out down Grand River. So we might have to restrict that as well if it causes some kind of backup.
Could
Just-
you explain that with your finger, what you just
I
said?
hope to. I'm gonna mess this up.
I think you can use the draw function too.
Could you explain what you just said about Redford Street?
Yeah, let me see.
That doesn't make any sense to me.
Okay, well, see this little street here, Redford
Yes,
Street.
Yep. We see it.
So I suspect, being a driver of a couple years, that people will come to Redford and make a left on Grand River here, which may be great, might not be great if it ends up stacking a whole lot of creating other kinds of problems. So I'm just saying we may also have to restrict left turns from Redford Street on Grand River as well, if that's something.
But okay, wait, hold on. But this brings up a good point. So I've been stuck here plenty of times on Lasser trying to make my left turn. Plenty of times. What you're saying is Redford an option now where, sir, if you just went down Redford, it's easier for you to take a left turn down there. You just have to watch traffic.
It's dangerous.
You guys drive it. I don't drive it.
There's no signal.
Yeah, I know there's no signal.
You never heard that.
It's very chaotic. It's very chaotic, especially when the children get out of school. That left turn right there.
That seems like an alternative to me.
I think that's a negative.
It's not a mistake.
They can't understand
Yep.
anything. So one person at a time, so it makes sense for people on. So, thank you.
I could put a sign of divert left-hand turn or to Grand River East, diverted onto Redford Street. Before it gets to the intersection,
Right.
put a light at Redford and Grand River.
Well, I don't know about that. You had me.
You can time it, it could be timed, but, and let the left turn come that way. I mean, it gets crazy down there when that school gets out around 3 o'clock.
It does.
You gotta take that into consideration.
By the time we do that, we might well be walking on that bus. Honestly, because there's a narrower street, even narrower streets, right? So it's gonna face its own limitation. And this is just me talking, sure, traffic force can dive into that. So, Maggie gave us at least a quick overview of the limitations that we have with the signal at that point. From what I heard, that is where I might from Lisa Alicia there, if we truly are having such a high crash rate in that space, I think it would be professionally irresponsible or false not to at least do something in the immediate, which is why I'm going to be proposing and that at least we make that movement and restrict that movement for now. And let's see how.
We've got a new surface parking lot, municipal surface parking lot that's going up, right here.
That corner?
Grand River, Blosser, right here.
Oh,
Once the buildings get torn down.
are they?
A municipal parking lot.
Okay, we got.
This is just a perspective. I think it really comes down to the same issue we have here in Boston Park. We've got a major state highway going through an area that's really not designed to carry that kind of traffic. That's true. And I mean, this restricts business area here. This is really a small version of an urban downtown area. I mean, that was downtown.
It was.
Yeah. And it was built that way. And so we've got this legacy architecture and geometry in the area that we're trying to do something else with Grand River than was originally the case, even back when it was US 10. And Grand River's the problem.
Well, we know that, but ultimately though, I think it's up to us and our generation and understanding what the problems are is to try to fix them, right?
Right.
And so that's what we're trying to do. We're trying
Oh,
to
no,
slow the
I-
traffic at Grand River.
Totally
We're
understand.
trying to cap I-375. We're trying to do a number of different things.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're trying to solve the problem.
So for sake of time, oh, go ahead.
No, I mean,
I was gonna wrap this one up. I said.
Not yet.
Okay.
Not until my proposal is still on.
Proposal.
No, the proposal,
right.
if we are in agreement in this meeting, I think, I'm gonna talk to my traffic folks here. Josh, if I'm misleading everybody, please speak up. But if we are in agreement with the restriction, I think it's something that you can put into place, quite quickly.
One quick question, because it was discussed, since we've been here, that perhaps this was temporary because of the construction on Telegraph. So I just want to be clear about exactly what we're saying.
Thank you. Thank you for the clarification. That's why I said in the interim, let's see how it performs. I truly believe by the time Telegraph is done, project is done, and that's a graphic, by the end of the summer. When they finish the interchange / Telegraph / 8 Mile. And then there's also another project going on 8 Mile, the Oakland County Water Commission.
Yes.
So it's
When is
pushing a
that
lot of
done?
people, huh?
When is that?
Same, about
End of
this, yeah.
summer, end of summer.
And a different agency, we need to continue tracking that. I haven't inspected and keeping an eye on that one as well.
Okay.
But by the time all of that is over, we need to watch what happens here. If we still have the same thing pressing, then maybe we need to start over having a different kind of compensation. It's gonna be inconvenient for the people that need to make that move, no doubt about it. But in the space of 2 or 3 people get injured a week, or even has property damage a week, I think is the best, is a good option.
Okay, well, real quick. So, and I agree with that. My thing is, whatever the change looks like, I want it to, this, y'all sound like a traffic engineer. I want it to look temporary, you know what I mean? Because I feel like people are gonna be so confused. But if I think that it's some type of construction, I'm just thinking about the psyche of drivers. Is it gonna look like a permanent change, or is it gonna look like a temporary change? That's my question. Are there gonna be orange barrels? Is there gonna be signage? Just, I don't know. But I'm just trying to understand what it might look like.
I'm giving my traffic folks an opportunity
Is that,
to
is
speak
yours
before I
a
say
to
something.
that, Pam? Okay, go ahead, let Pam add on, and then we'll let your people talk as we, add it.
As we change something.
So I sort of want to underline what Stephanie is calling your attention to, which is that extensive signage will be necessary. Extensive. You will have to put signs everywhere. And the second point I want to make is it's extremely important that you and whoever else in this team here is involved, make this presentation to the Old Redford Business Association. You have to go to their space, to Artist Village, and put up a screen like this and show people the map and discuss the pros and cons and explain that this is like a test solution for a certain fixed amount of time. And because of the influence of these other construction projects, you know, one flaw in this as a test is that those other construction projects end at the end of the summer. Well, the summer is not indicative because the school traffic will not be operative during the summer. So it may look one way during the summer, but then come fall, you know, in the fall it might change. But anyway, you get the point. I think it's extraordinarily important, especially since this recent problem with the construction project blooming overnight and really upsetting people and so on, that there be, you know, vigorous outreach and a robust presentation in their space, on their turf, to explain what this solution is, how it's gonna work, and the temporary testing nature of it, and attempt to get buy-in is the point, because people who have businesses need to tell their customers. They're the best advocates for this solution that you can have. Of course, not everybody going through that intersection is a customer of those businesses, but for sure, for this to succeed from the community, the business owners have to be well educated, and I think won over if at all possible, and assisted in any way that all these different transportation entities.
So we've already agreed that we're gonna set up that meeting, Brian, DPW, and we're gonna talk about the construction of the Losser Streetscape.
Already in
As
motion.
Part of that agenda, you're gonna be on it now to talk about, well,
So let's pump the brakes there. I think they need to be separate.
I agree with Jay.
As the loss of work has already started. I think
Yes.
we need to act immediately.
Yes. Yeah, just on this one.
And frankly, because we also just sent out the poll and I don't even know what MDOT's availability would be for those days, so.
Okay, that's good.
So as the agency that has jurisdiction on Lassa Road, no, I'm just checking with the traffic engineer, Eric, you know, what would they be asking us? Is it, because it's an MDOT road, that they're gonna be able to restrict traffic on our road no matter what they want to do, or? Are you
Like looking at the, and I had, that too, about temporary signs, you know, typical construction says. That's the route we go.
But in terms of not just the adequacy of the signage, but in terms of restricting that turn. Are you okay with that? Is that something you'd be okay with? Or are you gonna tell me, hey man, I got nothing to say about this, and all of them that wants to do it, it's done, you know, I
don't know about, like, if it was a long-term permanent solution, one, we would get a traffic control order, through the left turns. Get permission to take all. It requires commissioner approval.
Oh, what kind of timeline is that? Is that a year or 3 months or 6 months?
Months, yeah.
Commissioner approval.
But,
Yeah, but
it's
doing
temporary.
Yes.
Yeah, now, but if we're talking temporary, like, and try to make it look temporary, that we can. Somehow justify that this, part of construction, issues. Background.
Right. Yes, okay.
Well, real quick,
Hurry up.
Kay, if you don't mind, could you use your finger on the screen and show me how I would park in front of Maggie's Senegalese restaurant if I wanted to go there?
I don't know where you're talking about.
Maggie's is very famous, you should know it, but it's right here. I think I do. It's right here. If you could just show people what that looks like, because I don't know what that looks like.
Hey, who knows how to get there?
What?
No. I'm saying, Kay, what I want you to do is go down Losser. The turn is now restricted. And now I'm going to McNichols, but I want to get to Maddie's Senegalese restaurant. So I came down Losser, turn is restricted. How do I get to Maddie's Senegalese restaurant?
And I'm probably, so, in other words, we've restricted, typically people would just, pull. when-
Yep, but it's restricted.
Is restricted. Absolutely, you're gonna have to go, well, as it's pull this up. Anyway, you have to go through the intersection into Lasser.
Here's McNichols.
And this is McNichols.
Yeah.
You go around McNichols,
And then what do you do there?
okay.
You go.
You probably goes through it, and there will be a Michigan U.
Yes.
Yeah, let me do this.
Really?
Okay, he's
All right, you can go here and go down the road and make a left.
Okay.
You go here, go on the right, and make a left. Legally, you can do that. You can go all the way around here and make a left legally. You can go here, you do a little U-E. I think these are, you can flip on the U-turn here, right? And then you can go back up and make a right. So there's probably an infinite amount of doing it. If your point is, you're making it harder, yeah, we're making it harder. We're trying to stop people from getting right.
Thank you. Oh.
We definitely have a better understanding of all the complexities that you guys have been dealing with on this whole project. Mr. Henning, we'll talk soon.
You got something for me.
You sure? Because, yeah, I see it.
It's a pleasure.
Yes. I'm sure. I'm just strong.
It's great to be here.
We straight on the left turn on back, it's nice and we're just gonna push it. Probably just gonna get pushed to another intersection.
Yeah.
Let's bring it back real quick. Because we're down to about 15 minutes. We have absolutely gotta have a discussion around the maintenance of the islands, that whole thing. Everything blooming, we have our beautiful, what are those lilies, what are those things that plant all over? Daffodils, yeah, those daffodils all like, they're simply gorgeous, and then we get to Grand River. So, who wants to jump in on islands maintenance?
I got GSD, I'm up.
Okay.
I don't think GSD is here, so.
I
But I'll say we've had conversations with them. They really do not want to continue maintaining plantings, but to at least until some sort of permanent fix is in place, they're willing to continue to do, weeding. On some regular frequency. So then I think it still is just the outstanding question of, do we feel that there's an ability to still put some sort of like green or sod in that space, or do we want to pave over it? And if that's the case, if we want to install concrete, just when we're gonna have the funding to be able to do that, install that. So. Yep. The only other thing is we are also, for DPW, pursuing a contract for just overall streetscape maintenance. So on previous streetscape projects that have been installed, Grand River included, we're going to hire a contractor to be responsible for plantings and weeding and watering. We haven't gotten that out yet to contract, but once that's in place, we can make sure that whatever the expectation is, I think, for Grand River, that can be included in that mix. But it's gonna be a fairly, small, I guess, maintenance budget, that we'll have on the annual kind of budget basically to maintain.
So what's the timeline on that?
That's a harder one to, I think, nail down. Ideally, we'll have something, we have to go through our procurement process, and that can take sometimes just a month and sometimes like 3 or 4 months. So I'm worried that at this point, we might miss most of the summer season for 2024, but we will definitely be in a place to intercept and be, have it established as an annual program by 2025 for sure.
And it's, the streetscape maintenance contract is going through GSD, it's not going through DPW.
No, it's going through DPW.
Windsor, as you go out, Colette and then Dougal, they've got a similar situation going through a business area. They've installed AstroTurf
Well, they,
in Windsor. That looks good.
Okay.
So,
And it's, the green doesn't stick to it. It doesn't have to be mowed. It still is green and looks nice. I had a picture of it, but I think I've lost it.
James,
But that could be a permanent.
James and everybody, so I had a conversation yesterday with Barry Burton. For a whole other set of reasons. Talking about a different issue, and does everybody know, you're going to explain who that is, he's. Right. He's the guy who got us all our daffodils. Yes.
And he's also responsible for,
Yes,
Remember,
so,
Not the design of it.
not the design of it, but definitely the maintenance.
so he mentioned this possible long-term contract. And I guess he's also done some thinking about what could conceivably be planted. And he's come up with a couple of different species. One of them is called dwarf fountain grass. And another one is a fancy kind of honeysuckle, which is a low growing bush that is. I'll murder the pronunciation.
Wisteria.
Villa
Yeah.
monacera.
Say that second one again.
That's not free. That's written.
It's a daffodil, you said, right?
No.
Oh, that's all.
Yeah. So, and he seems to think that both of those plants could stand there's no irrigation system, this planting, so they would be able to survive and so on. And that if this long-term maintenance contract for all the streetscapes gets put in place, that crew would probably be showing up like every 2 weeks or so.
Yeah, it depends on what we can carve out as a budget annually, but yeah, that would be the expectation.
So the other option that Barry and I talked about was decorative concrete. Which is decorative. It's not just concrete. It can have colors. Do you remember 2007? Was that the repaving of Grand River? With Dr. Judnick and the stamped concrete, it looks like bricks in the crosswalk. Example. Decorative concrete, but it can be a whole lot more decorative. You can use lots of different colors. You could ask Hubert Massey if he knows somebody that does decorative concrete work. And you might have the names of different neighborhood associations and their logos. And I mean, we can have a contest, kids can draw pictures. My strong preference is for the decorative concrete. Barry reminded me that it is significantly more expensive than the plantings. But it's a one-time cost. Well,
That is
it's
exactly.
refreshing every 3 years.
It's also a maintenance.
Yeah, yes, right, it's on a 3-year.
To keep it looking the way you. The person comes out to be, it would take a while.
Yeah.
So I can't even picture, I'm sorry, what? How would it be?
It's kind of like in Ferndale, when they did the rainbow crosswalk, it's like concrete that's colored.
Okay.
Like a tennis court.
You can do a Google search, decorative concrete.
Yeah, that's just about to say, I don't know if this has
Yeah.
the ability to do that, but you could definitely do a Google search and just do decorative concrete medians and a bunch of stuff will come up.
Do we wanna do that? I don't know, we got 8 minutes and we've got 2 more things to talk about.
We can do that on our own. So,
Kimberly,
And I'll join in.
want to excel on anything? Are you good?
Good. It's frustrating, you know, we've been paying for 2 years. This is probably our 15th hour meeting. And we've gotten very little done during that time, right? So just, I understand that we have several different agencies here, there's a lot of bureaucracy and red tape, but there are a lot of smart people in this room. And I would just like to be able to go back to my neighborhood association and report that something has actually happened. I think the only thing that has happened in the last, since this streetscape was installed, has been retiming the lights down there at Grand River, and I think at Myers, the lights were retimed. That's it. Everything else
Thank you,
has
Maggie.
been studied, talked about ad nauseum, and I am just extremely frustrated at the slowness of movement. So that's, I just would like to say that. So I hope that the next time there could be a report that something has been done, as opposed to things will be done or studied.
And can I piggyback off of that, because I concur. And I think, you know, when we look at the scale and size of the issues here, this is gonna take work outside of a 1.5 hour meeting. And so when we go back to our day jobs and we go back to our office, we can't put this on the desk and let it sit down. And so I really propose maybe like a liaison. I know we obviously have Brian, but that's not necessarily his role. We need a liaison that can be the glue to all of these departments, because again, a 1.5 hour meeting isn't gonna remediate any of these problems. And so if we can continue and hold accountability that's outside of a 1.5 hour meeting, I think we'll be able to gain more traction. That's it, sorry.
The camp issue is the solution. Are complex. I don't think that they're not moving on issues, but if they want something to change, what has to happen? The things that are desired take a larger effort. That there's no low hanging fruit there, like this. And okay.
No, you're correct. I mean, some of the low hanging fruits, put the signs back up. I think those ones are back up right now.
The repainting got done, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I think, I mean, I'm walking out of this meeting, I think we had a consensus on recent, the left-arm restriction in the future. And I think we can talk to Eric, we will be talking about how we get this done fairly quickly. And at the same time, they can look temporary. Maggie, Josh, hopefully, I can see who else is there. We'll be having that conversation about how we can proceed. That get implemented, and then of course, moving forward, yeah, we will still think there's still a lot for us to discuss in this particular case. I know that for this meeting, the last of conversations in the past few months has been high.
As we close out the discussion around the plantings, the colorful, we just need to know what we're gonna do, okay? And how long is it gonna take for you all to tell us, this is the one option we can afford, or the one that we just need to know that so that we can manage expectations. So that when we do have our block captains meeting, where we meet in this block, I mean, in this room, and it's all our block captains from, that's just the Rosedale Park side. And when we take the information, oh, it's right there on this side, right? We want to be able to say these were the list of things that we brought to this group and have some check marks as complete. And because it's nice and people are out and, you know, we're paying attention to the plantings and what things look like, can we get some type of idea on, what we're gonna be able to move on? If it's with the turf, I just need to know what it's gonna be and how long it's gonna take.
Are you asking me? You're looking at me.
Kind of, sort of.
Yeah.
What do we need from GST here?
I mean, the elephant in the room, unfortunately, is, I mean, first of all, we're all frustrated too. So we are, as much as you're looking to us to be the problem solvers, and we view ourselves that way. We have our own internal and interagency challenges that we're working through between meetings. I know it doesn't seem productive when we come back and report, but we're frustrated too. We want, if we could just wave a magic wand and make it all, better and fix the solutions, we would. I don't know. I know that money is not the end all be all in terms of like being able to wave that magic wand, but I think that, to answer your question, is the challenge. Is like, it's not about necessarily the money and the dollar sign, but like, it's hard to make a commitment when we don't have the resources to commit to saying, yes, install the concrete, or yes, install, even the delineator posts, because it hasn't been budgeted, it's not procured in a contract or something right now. So it's helpful to have these conversations so we know what the priorities are and we can take that back to people who are gonna make that happen. But that's why it's really hard for me to sit here and be like, yep, August 1st, we'll have it installed, because we don't even have a budget established for it.
Right, right, I already know where Pam's going, because that's where I'm at. So then who's the next person I need?
Yeah.
I'm from the city.
Yeah.
I know the people. Who do I need to talk to as the representative from this community that has to respond to neighbor concerns? To take some of the heat off of you, right? I'll do it.
Obviously,
I need to know who it is.
It's the leadership, right? I mean, so it's like,
So I need to talk to Brad. I need to talk to Ron. Who I need to talk to?
well, I would say.
Yes.
Okay.
I would say,
Let me just call him right now. Right.
like, it would be nice though, if people like Tim Carl at GSD and Dio at DPW were aware of kind of where we are now.
They're aware. They're aware.
Because I feel like going to the director doesn't seem fair.
No, it does, because it needs to be budgeted. I'm Dio's parallel, like I'm also a deputy director, and I can't make it happen.
Look to spring to get plantings, and that was a year ago.
Right.
So I think that is fair.
We were working on the 2024 budget the last time we met, and I specifically remember what budgets can we advocate for to get some of these funds allocated. And because the way we budget, we have to start doing it last year.
Right.
And if I can, and I should let people know I'm actually leaving the city. My last day will be May 10th, and I will be doing my best to make sure this stays as a priority. But so I feel a little more willing to share a little bit, I think, as well. So I know it's being recorded, so I guess they can fire me in 3 weeks if they want. But to Chelsea's point, we didn't get awarded any streetscape projects as part of our capital planning ask last year. So you can kind of tell where it fits right now in terms of our capital ask. But we did get $2 million to do some similar type of work on Livernois, where we're experiencing some challenges. So it's not at all unprecedented to get that, even from the city's point of view. And I know it's a little bit different with the dynamics in terms of jurisdiction and ownership. So, but it took getting it to those leadership positions to be a priority. So I'll just share that it is possible.
So is it Mr. Tate or is it the mayor?
All of the above.
Right.
Yeah, but you want to start with the directors first, right?
The director's like.
So Crystal Perkins runs GSD and Ron Brundage runs DPW.
We know them.
We absolutely do. All right, what's burning before we're already at 2:30?
Wait, let's just ask James, off the top of your head, how much does decorative concrete cost? Are we talking about thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars?
If it's all the median islands, it's probably a few hundred thousand.
3 to 4.
Something like that, yeah.
Okay.
It very well could be less, but I think because knowing that there's a lot of specialty work, handwork that we did.
So would you, sorry, would you install decorative concrete throughout everything?
I mean, I think that's the question. If you start from the top and then what do you maybe whittle down priority locations or something.
How about we as an organization? Cause could we even have a hybrid? Could we have a combo? Is it, you know what I mean? Could we have some areas where we have that and others? And so as an organization, as a takeaway and work for us, let's just do a walkthrough. Yeah, and kind of identify areas where we would like to see each one. Okay?
But first we need the money.
Well,
Let's get the money.
But
well, we're gonna, I mean, it's a both and, right?
But
Yeah, we gotta be able to present the plan that we want.
Right.
While we're even trying to secure the money.
and my assumption is, I'm not sure which relationship with this Barry, but Barry would walk with you if you want.
So would DPW.
Yeah.
So would PDD.
Yeah, but I mean, PDD is not involved in this.
Right.
I mean,
Barry can't.
so, but
Yeah.
Barry Burton would certainly walk with you and help you figure out design wise, especially if you told him the priority is decorative concrete, but you wanted a hybrid of some type of, maybe it's that honeysuckle bush and some deck. But Barry is the best person to talk to do a walkthrough.
And I would love nothing better. I would love to spend days with Barry Burton. He's a wonderful person, but I feel like we need to figure out what do we really want?
Yes.
And then once you establish that,
I'm-
Barry
I'm-
can put together a budget.
Probably an outlier. I am hard decorative concrete. I want nothing to do with maintenance. I gave up on the Tooth Fairy. I gave up on Santa Claus, and I have given up on the city of Detroit maintaining any of this stuff out there up and down Grand River. I'm just too old. I know better. That's why I'm in the tank for decorative concrete. Other people in the neighborhood feel different. Other people have more hope. They haven't had their heart broken in it. So I just think, even though it's a one-time expense, much more expensive.
Some of them is over now. I hear you, Rita.
Not a one-time.
Okay, I just, we have homework to do, is my point, and we'll get it done. So with that, this would, with Chelsea's help, with Kevin's help, maybe with us, let's sit down, we come up with a good recap with some bullet points on, these are the things that we're expecting to move forward on. These are things we're looking, we understand. We'll throw your party on the way out. Wait, I'm just
I just want to say one thing, I mean, you're looking at, because at times we do some research to find out what, if some places have it, what it looks like.
Yes.
5 years, 10 years down the road, it might take you. You know, because that will, I don't want you to do something and then be disillusioned and you say, hey, you said this was.
Field trip, Ferndale, that was never they had.
Make sure,
Yeah.
you know. Research that.
Yeah. And then when you walk with Barry, he gave you those 3 bushes up or those 3 planting options because he probably thinks they're viable. So although you don't think let Barry help educate you on how much maintenance a honeysuckle bush would be. Because Barry might say, oh, they don't need maintenance at all. And he'll probably be able to show you pictures as well of where that can occur.
Any living thing needs maintenance.
Right.
Is the garbage picked up?
So the concrete, those concrete, I'm sorry to interrupt, but.
Yeah.
So, those,
And I can honestly say, I have honeysuckle bushes and I have tall grasses and all that stuff in my backyard. The only maintenance I do is at the fall, I cut them and then they grow back up. I don't trim them, I don't touch them. So my maintenance is 15 minutes every year to maintain those things. But I'm just saying, there's certain plants that you don't have to maintain at all.
That's the ones in front of my house, I'll do anything.
Right. We can probably all name plants that. It just keeps coming up. My home was.
Everybody on, thank you for joining us. We're wrapping up. Thank you.
Yeah, I probably the one burning question I have.
Yes.
At our last meeting, one of the officers who was here from the said that they thought the 35 was an excessive speed limit here. And that they would like to see it lowered to 25. Has there been any follow-up at all on that discussion?
How does that happen?
Oh, I mean, it's just like the V3 I just left right now. I don't know if traffic lowering speed is almost impossible. Seriously, because if it goes by 85% of what people are already doing already. Right here, here you go. I think it's
Yeah, I know the answer to these questions too, that you want to see the procedure. It's in the Michigan Vehicle Code laws, the law of the state of Michigan. It involves the Michigan State Police who manage this section of the law. You'll need a speed survey and
The 80th percentile.
and yeah, whatever the 85th percentile is. We do this all the time, that people think that to get a speed survey will justify in their mind that it should be lower. What we've seen, at least on County roads, is the exact opposite, and then they back off to like, no, if we proceed, speed limit is going up.
And so in regard to that, I think, because we discussed this in the last meeting, in regard to that, we talked with the state police and I think it was even the traffic division on speed limit enforcement, which I have seen an increased police presence here, and then the determination process or like to encourage people to drive slower, like billboards or additional signage. We even saw those blinking lights that MDOT said they were too expensive. What could we do around that? What does that look like in terms of signage and reducing speed through signage?
Well, so I think we had mobile speed indicator signs installed here for some time to indicate and let drivers know. And then since those are things that we use on the construction side, we remove them. We typically don't put flashing lights on state routes because there's already speed limits signs out there. And you probably see it on local routes where there's solar
And around schools.
yeah, around schools as well. Typically, that's where you really see most of them. Not on any state route that I know that we put those kind of signs on because they feel that the speed limit is already there. So really, I mean, I just said that in another meeting. The city, I'm like, well, stay here in the city. Where I said we still need that police presence. There's nothing like police presence. If I have it on the back of my mind, I can run to one of them around that corner. People do take it does tame people's behavior. And I know so this is a commercial route. It could deter customers from coming into the space. But I don't see what else we can do. We have a road dieting over here, and we're still having some of these issues. I don't know if the speed indicator sizes is going to be what does it, because if I see it every day and I don't see it, it shows up around the corner.
Right. Usually police will give you a heart attack. Yeah. They can slow down. If you start, installing signs you think would make people slow down. So you might look at it for a day or two and then it'll go back to their old habits.
Yeah, because nothing's happened, they're not being taken on the race. And nobody wants that to happen.
I just think it adds more validity, because the police aren't always going to be around. So when people see that activation of signage or that, sign that kind of inclines slower speeds, it's validity because they know people care about the neighborhood and that people notice how fast they're driving. And so even though it might be a cultural thing, I still think it adds structure and validity to the streetscape.
They're not going to abide by the static sign, eventually they won't abide. If it's almost there.
We don't even have static signs right now. Am I wrong?
There are very few speed limits.
And that was also a part of it.
Oh, yeah, now that I do recall asking about getting additional speed limit signs.
And I don't know if Maggie's still on the call.
No, Maggie had to leave, but I'm still here.
We've done that. Oh,
I
thought we did already. Josh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think Maggie did do that speed limit survey to make sure that all the signs were there. And I'm pretty sure I'll check back with her that everything that needed to be was there. We do have, I know that you're talking about some speed feedback signs. We do have those 2 trailers that I think we deployed out here last year or possibly the
Yeah.
year before. We can put those back out for a couple weeks if you guys would like. They do typically take up a parking space or 2, just so that it has like a good visual to the vehicles, for both the speed feedback and also so that the vehicles can see it. But those are currently being used down on 4th Street right now, so it'd be a few weeks until we got them out, but that's a possibility too.
Yeah, and I mean, I know like the state survey showed that we probably have exactly what we need, but I think it's been proven that we need a little bit more, even outside of whatever that layer or apparatus is. We need a little bit more hand holding on this corridor, so even a couple extra, I think wouldn't hurt at this.
Yeah, I know what the cost of the ones like they have in the school zones for the.
I don't even think it's a cost issue.
No, I just, does anybody have an idea how much those cost? There's an association if we bought one.
Right in my brain, cause can we just buy our own sign?
Are you saying like the permanent, the semi-permanent ones that you would put on a post?
Our communities.
You're so.
Josh, Josh is saying something. So Josh, did you say something also?
I was just asking if he means like the semi-permanent ones that you would attach to a signpost or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your solar power.
Yeah, or they're sometimes battery if you want to just take them back and recharge them too and kind of put them around in different spots. I know different municipalities have those. I believe they're somewhere around the $7,000 to $8,000 range for the battery pack version.
So, but do we install those on state trunk lines?
We don't currently have any. We have the trailer version.
But could they be?
But I guess, Kay alluded to this earlier too. Like,
We could put them on a light pole, right?
Yeah, they're gonna say no. Our light
We're
poles,
gonna
they don't
get
have
flags
light
up,
poles.
right?
Yeah, if we can put signs on the light poles and not banners, I'm gonna burn something down.
Oh, we still have to set that meeting up, right? About the light
We do.
poles.
Yes, sir, yes.
Yeah, so Ben is,
Science is real, Chelsea. Banner is like a sail on a boat. A little box is not that. So doesn't mean they'll let us do it, but they're not.
2:43 is the time. I like to be respectful of people's time just because I know my time.
Crossing, replacing the crossing signs. There was an issue with lead time ordering.
So it wasn't a lead time about, we said we were gonna put the status ones out there with which are already out there right now. We were saying that, let's see how much we stand, how long, because we cannot continue replacing and replacing. And let's see how much you sign and how often we have to come and replace it. That will give us an idea of, okay, I think, because initially when they got out there, in a day or two, they got out. And so now, I'm actually encouraged. I took pictures and I'm coming like, oh, they're still out there. We want to kind of monitor that before we replace them with they just feelings last. And so something seems to be changing. Behavior may be changing a little bit because they've been out there a couple of months now. I'm encouraged.
Wait till the end of the summer.
End of the summer, so don't speak to some.
They race down at night.
Oh,
They'll take it down. It's bad with summertime.
I am hopeful.
I just.
So, but I live on the alley, Grand River,
So you
by my house. I get here.
Everything.
Every Friday, Saturday night, man, it's like.
So, well, I know, I mean, this is not the only corridor we have those nights.
Yeah, so, each. I hear more heavy engines.
Friday night, Saturday night.
Oh.
One time, I'm sorry.
Dustin.
So that, are there any groups, there are associations that converge
to merge, or if they just happen to
you know, it might be motorcycle one night, it might be motorcycle 1 minute, the next minute could be a Charger, could be a Challenger, could be a Mustang GT. I mean, because you hear the engine and they rev and they're gone.
Don't forget the ATVs.
Oh, and ATV, yeah.
So, and the reason I asked the question, and I think we're diverging now, in the conversation, the reason I asked is do they congregate somewhere and they pull into the space? So do they